So here is, we got the track, we got the object parented right here. Actually, sorry, not parented, but on the follow path constraint. So you had influence turned down to 0. As soon as I turn that up to 1, then, like you said, it goes flying way off over here. We're going to turn off fixed position because that'll just put it on one place on the path and it will ignore the evaluation time, which is what sends it around the path. So, like you said, now it's way over here. All I did to reset this, actually, I'm just going to try something. I'm going to push Alt-G. Yeah, so if I push Alt-G, it actually clears the location of the object. I'm going to hit Alt-R to clear the rotation, and Alt-S to clear the scale. So, basically in Blender, there's two different kinds of position. More or less. I mean, actually, there's more, but there's object space and there's world space. And so, in object space, that's like when you go into edit mode and you move around vertices and stuff, and you're changing stuff within the space of that object. But then that object is in world space. And so, when you scale an object, it's not actually scaling all the vertices. It's just telling Blender, hey, that object is 2 times bigger than what it is actually. So if that makes sense. So when you're in edit mode, it's, a certain size, but when you scale it, it's basically just telling Blender, scale this up 2 times. So Alt G clears the location, Alt S clears the scale, and Alt R clears the rotation. So now we've kind of got the basic object in its native size and orientation. So I'm just going to hit R, going to rotate, hold control, and it snaps it. So we're going to snap it to 90-degree rotation. And then I'm actually going to scale it back down and put it right here. But Alt-G was probably the most important one because of what it did is it cleared its location in Blender world space. And when you have a constraint, then a lot of times it takes that object wherever you've placed it and in the world. And so if you move it over 5 units to the left, it's going to move it over 5 units to the left of where the modifier, or the constraint would normally place it. So hopefully that all makes sense. So if I move it over here before I do the constraint, then once I add the constraint, it's going to keep that offset. So we have that right here. Looks like it's a little too high because it's probably want the rollers right down there on the track. So we're just going to move it right down here. And there you go. Let's see. So it's on the track, and if we hit the animation key to the right, it's just going to follow along just as it should. I was noticing that up here, I think the path is not quite in the center, so you get it just offset a little bit. I'm guessing, so if we go into top view, yeah. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to hit Shift S and cursor to selected, and then I'm going to come up to this next point, and I am going to push period, and that chooses the pivot point, and I'm going to choose the 3D cursor as the pivot point, and then I'm going to hit S to scale, and then I'm going to hit move my mouse just a little bit to the left and hit the middle mouse key, and it's going to constrain it to that axis. And though you can't see it because the point's way down there, I'm going to hit 0, and that actually put it way over there. So why is that? Because that doesn't look like it's, unless this whole path is a little bit offset. Doesn't look like it is. It looks like these lines are really straight. Oh, no, they are. They're just a little tiny bit offset. You can see, I don't know if you can see it on YouTube there, but these lines are just a little bit jagged. So this path actually, or this track actually starts here. It just kind of sort of drifts out to the right just a little bit. And maybe that's the way you want it. So I'm not going to mess with that too much, but what we can do is we can bring this guy back here, and if we see he's actually just a little bit offset to the left right here, move this point out just a little bit to the right, and so it looks about even. You can see just about as much of the wheels on either side. So there we go for that. But yeah, it's going around the track right there. And then the other thing I was going to show you, you probably saw this in the last one, but just so I can put it all in one video, we're going to go up here to animation. We're going to change from the dope sheet to, dope sheet to the graph editor. And here is your path. And at this point, 0 to 100, it hits the 100% of the evaluation time of the path. The path evaluation time. And so if I hit N on the keyboard, you bring up these little properties over here. We can go down to modifiers, click the X on the generator to remove it. You'll see that we don't have a path for it anymore. I think, yeah, it's completely gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control and right mouse click, and it's going to put a point right here at the beginning. Let's go over here where we can actually see the track over here. So you can see it's at the beginning. We're going to go up here to frame 100 and let's do 250. We'll just go all the way to the end and say that's where we want it to be at 0. So now you can see that the object follows around the path from 0 to 200, frame 0 to frame 250. And then anywhere on that path we want it to deviate, we can just hold Control and right click and add some new points. So here it's going to go around the path. I just can't quite see it right there. So it's going to go around this path, stop there, it actually goes back just slightly, and then it's going to continue on. I can select both of these points and hit S to scale and click the middle mouse button and just scroll up and click. Now it's actually going to stay completely stationary at that point, so it's like a little pause point. So yeah. Do you have any questions right now? I can pop over here and show you anything if this is all working as it should. Nothing like the anticipation of waiting for someone and as it says they're typing. I'm wondering. Well, I'm not hearing the audio, but anyway. Nice. Okay. There's something about resetting the scale and stuff. Can I just apply scale and have the program register it that way? Yes. Yes, you can. Scale especially, that is very useful for sure. With location, you don't. I don't do location very often because what it does is it basically moves its origin. Where's our origin? Down here. So it moves the origin down to the origin of the whole world. There are certain times that you can do that, but especially with a parented object, if I do that right now, if I can apply the location, actually that would be fine because I've already moved it to its location. Right now, technically, it is at like 0, 0, 0 because I did clear its location, and then the modifier, that constraint, moved it to this location. But if I moved it out here and then I hit apply location, now you see it's moved its origin way out over here, and there's just not a lot of times that I like to do that. Sometimes if I'm modeling like a ship or something and I want all the objects to have the same origin point, sometimes I'll do that, but even then, usually I like to have their origins all kind of at the center of their geometry. It just makes it a lot easier to keep track of parts of ships and stuff as I'm building them. So, any other questions here before we hop off? So I'm going to undo that, put that back. Well, this has been fun. Thank you for just sticking with me as I try to get this going, and I'm hoping to actually do a few more tutorials and stuff. So you, along with anybody else that wants to request talking about how I do something, I've got there's a few different projects, but we'll save that for a different time. So yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for letting me test this out on you, and we will talk later.